You ever hear something in the dead of night that just doesn't fit? I'm not talking about wind or the usual sounds that come with old houses settling. No, I'm talking about a sharp mechanical chirp at 2:07 a.m., the kind of noise that snaps you straight out of whatever dream you were having and drops you in the middle of real-life trouble. That was me, sprawled on my side of the bed, just seconds before my wife, Lauren, shot upright, clutching her handbag as if someone might snatch it away right there in the dark. That sound, it was coming from her bag, and the second she whispered, "James, it's coming from here," I knew sleep was over, and our lives were about to get real complicated real fast. See, I don't just fix laptops for a living. I work cybersecurity for one of the big tech firms tracking device misuse, digital footprints, you name it. So, yeah, I knew exactly what that chirp meant, even before I moved. Someone had planted an AirTag in Lauren's purse, and not by accident. You know what I mean? This wasn't random. It was targeted, personal. And in our little gated suburb, just outside Austin, Texas, I had a damn good idea who had crossed that line. If you think homeowners associations are about neighborly potlucks and holiday lights, let me introduce you to Margaret. Margaret, a HOA vice president, and the self-appointed queen of our cul-de-sac. She wasn't your typical nosy neighbor. She was the kind who weaponized complaints about our mailbox, our grass, you name it. I used to laugh it off, but this, planting a tracker, that was next level. That was obsession disguised as oversight, and now it was in my house. I emptied Lauren's purse right there in the kitchen, coins, lipstick, grocery receipts scattering across the counter. She stood frozen, arms crossed, jaw tight, watching me. When I finally found the AirTag tucked so deep in a zippered pocket, I almost missed it. I felt the room change. The air got heavier, like we were standing on the edge of something neither of us could see coming. The battery was fresh. The signal was strong. I fired up my gear and got to work. Margaret had slipped up. She'd paired the tracker to her own iPhone. Rookie move, but then again, she always thought the rules were for other people. Lauren sank onto the couch, her voice trembling. She followed me yesterday. I thought I was paranoid. That hit me in the gut because Lauren volunteers every Tuesday at a domestic violence shelter. And now, here she was, being stalked by a woman who was supposed to protect the neighborhood. Now, I know what you're thinking, call the cops, right? But in cases like this, you don't tip your hand. You gather evidence. I cloned the AirTag's ID, set up dummy pings bouncing all over the city, places like police stations and busy intersections, just to watch Margaret chase her own tail. Meanwhile, I rigged the yard with motion sensors and hidden mics. If she came near, we'd have her on camera. We tried to act normal. Lauren kept her schedule. I watched our digital perimeter. For 3 days, it was cat and mouse, and Margaret was relentless, checking the tracker every night, pacing outside, convinced she still had the upper hand. But on the fourth night, the trap snapped shut. Our mailbox camera caught a shadowy woman in a hoodie, hair stuffed under a cap, waving her phone around like she was searching for lost treasure. It was Margaret trying to reset the AirTag, getting more frantic by the minute. What she didn't know was that a night vision camera overhead had her face, clear as day. When I showed Lauren the footage, something changed in her. The fear was still there, but now it had teeth. She wants to watch? Let's give her a show, Lauren said, her voice steely. So we did. I rigged a new AirTag with a GPS redirect chip, and Lauren drove her bag to a secure warehouse downtown. Margaret's phone followed that phantom signal for hours, circling a parking garage like a confused bloodhound. I got drone footage of her car, dashcam video from across the lot, the works. That evening, Margaret tried to confront us at our own front door. She rang the bell like she owned the place, demanding to talk to Lauren, claiming there'd been suspicious activity on HOA logs. That was her fatal slip. Only someone tracking us directly would have known about those signals. I invited her inside and showed her the evidence, line by line. Timestamps, GPS logs, video clips. Margaret stammered, tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but she could see the walls closing in. The sheriff's office has it all now, I told her. Expect a call on Monday. And for the first time since moving here, Margaret didn't have a comeback. She just stared at that AirTag on our counter, then bolted down the sidewalk like her feet were on fire. But if you think that was the end, well, let me back up a sec. Margaret was too stubborn to back down, and I'd already started phase 2. I built a secondary Devisea, disguised key fob, with a passive mic and slipped it into Lauren's old tote. The next day, Margaret took the bait, trailing Lauren to the rec center's empty lot, mumbling to her phone. The mic caught everything. She was ranting to someone named Paul, her cousin, recently hired to upgrade the HOA security system. Turns out, Paul had masked the AirTag's ID, thinking he'd outsmart everyone. Not today. With help from a buddy at work, I traced the AirTag to the HOA's own Wi-Fi network. The digital fingerprints matched. We had it all. MAC addresses, IP logs, transcripts. Now, I just needed Margaret to incriminate herself. We set up a fake family trip. Lauren loaded the car, waved at neighbors, drove to an Airbnb near the sheriff's substation. That night, Margaret stalked the street, phone in hand, pacing like a caged animal. A police cruiser rolled by, body cam rolling. Margaret claimed she was just passing through. Yeah, that happened. By morning, Margaret was spinning out flyers in mailboxes, conspiracy emails to the board, even showing up at HOA meetings screaming about dangerous people in the neighborhood. But the truth was out, and the board suspended her. The prosecutor charged her with stalking, evidence tampering, and false reporting. And here's the kicker. A forensic audit of her cloud backup revealed she'd tracked 17 other women in our neighborhood, moms, teens, even a new dad with a baby stroller. Chills, right? The morning the police finally came, Lauren and I were eating pancakes, thinking maybe, just maybe, peace was possible again. Margaret stood outside, phone out, screaming accusations. But this time, Detective Carter from Cybercrimes wasn't buying it. He took one look at my evidence binder, listened to Margaret rant on the dash cam, and when asked for her phone, she smashed it on the driveway. Neighbors caught everything on video. The cuffs clicked. Paul showed up demanding a lawyer, but the HOA logs buried him too. That night, the neighborhood held its breath. Some folks apologized for doubting us. At the next HOA meeting, Lauren got a standing ovation for joining the new oversight committee. Even the prosecutor sent us the busted AirTag sealed in resin, a little trophy labeled case closed. Margaret's sentence? Community service right at Lauren's shelter, mopping floors in front of the women she tried to terrorize. Justice, it turned out, wasn't loud or flashy. It was quiet, relentless, and complete. Our story set off by a single midnight chirp became a warning for anyone who thought tech was just a toy or a weapon for the bored and entitled. And Lauren? She turned her blog, Track Free, into a beacon for folks worried about privacy, helping families check backpacks and scan cars so nobody had to feel watched and alone again. But here's the question that stuck with me, and maybe you've got a take. When neighbors cross lines, how far should you go to fight back? When is enough enough? And if it happened in your town, would you even know? Drop your thoughts below. Do you think justice was served, or did Margaret get off easy? Would you have handled things differently? Let's talk about it, because this could be your story next.